Hi friends, welcome to my channel Join India Armed Forces. I'll be showing you a series of lectures in which I'll tell you how you can prepare for your SSB without even going to the coaching classes and you can get recommended easily. Moreover, in the later on series of the lectures, I'll be telling you how you can prepare for your written examination for NDA as well as CDS. Subscribe the channel for more updates. Now let's come on to the topic of today video, that is SSB, and later on its history. What do we mean by SSB? It simply means Services Selection Board. Well, most of this thing you already know that. Now coming on to the meaning of it, what it means. It is an administration set up by Ministry of Defense. Well, they are responsible for scheduling, organizing and conducting SSB interview in various parts of our countries. Now let's check onto the history of SSB. Most of the time history is considered as quite boring, but not this time. Let's find out how. Before moving on further, I want to tell you something. That before you go for your interview, you should know that from where this SSB word has come up. Why this is a interview in which you have to stay there for 5 days and people are observing you continuously. It is not happening just for the nothing. There's a lot in it. There's a lot of history behind the SSB from where this procedure has come up. For this, keep watching the video. One more thing, I'll request you if you can hear the complete video so that there will be no lags in between. So let's coming on to the history of SSB. Moving back to the days of World War II, following the British defeats from the German hands in the early stages of World War II. That was very crucial time because most of the British armies they were facing defeat and the British Parliament they had expressed their concern that how British army was being led. There was a dilemma that whether their officers they are capable of leading the army or not. And everyone, including the senior officers of the British army, they're confused what to do because they don't know. And moreover, there was a shortage of 25% of officers. It was a huge number when it comes to World War II. A sudden shortfall of 25% means a lot to the country. It means country is not capable enough to fight a world war or a war also. People started questioning that how it is happening. They found out that that at that time there were high proportion of mental breakdowns. Officers are not able to take the load of the war. Under the pressure of war, they're continuously failing and thereby quitting. Army was considered as old fashioned and people started thinking that their army is not efficient of conducting the task. They're not capable of winning the war. And this was considered a very serious threat for the British forces. Moreover, it was noticed that there was very high failure rate at Officers Cadet Training Institutes or CD OCTUs. Like we have IMA and OTA in our country, at that time in United Kingdom there was OCTU. They are responsible for making officers out of the gentlemen cadets. The source that I am referring for the research is The British Army and the People's War by Jeremy A. Crank. Now let's moving further. When the research were carried out, it was found that the command interview board they were making poor selection of officer candidates, and thus it was causing the failures. Because of this, the cadets who are entering the academy they are not able to even getting passed out of the academy, and those who were passing out they were finally failing in the times of war. Psychiatrist Eric Whitcover of Royal Army Medical Corps, known as RAMC, I say again, Royal Army Medical Corps. He had been conducting a series of experiments to find out how it is happening, and he finally was able to found that the problems it is with the officers who are breaking down in the time of war. He conducted that these men lacked abilities or qualities to withstand the stresses of their job. He found out that these men they are not capable of withstanding the stress of the job. stress of the war. Later on, Witkower passed a copy of army selection methods. At that time, these methods were being followed by German armed forces. He thought this might be a chance of the revival of the forces, of the revival of the British Army. The head of Scottish Command, Sir Andrew Thorne, whom you can see over the top right corner of the presentation, he had been a military attaché in Berlin during 1930s, and he was very familiar with the German methods at that time, what they were using for conducting the interview of their officer cadets and selecting the officers. Later on, plans were made to conduct an experiment and adopt the latest methods for the selection of British forces. Edinburgh experiment. Well, Edinburgh is a city in United Kingdom. Why it is important? Because this is the city from where the SSB procedure rise up. Or in other words, you can say that it is the birthplace of the SSB. During the time of summer 1941, Whitcover and Ferguson Roger they conducted a series of experiments on the officer selection test. These tests were conducted at commanders' schools in Edinburgh, headed by Alec Buchan Smith. They carried out the test in a specific manner, and the procedure at that time which was involved, it is like this. First of all, there was a written self-description by the candidate. Candidates were asked to write about themselves, about their history, about their co-curricular activities, about their hobbies, and every little minuscule details. Later on, life history was obtained by the interview. Group intelligence tests were conducted, and they were aiming at to identify those people who are able to lead the group, who emerged as a leader of the group. The sole purpose of carrying out this group intelligence test at that time was this. There was an observation test. People around them, well, from here people I mean the selectors, psychiatrists and the military persons, they silently observe the candidates that what they are doing, how they are doing, and what is the thought process of the candidates. There were choice reaction tests, similar to our SRTs, mean situation reaction test. These tests were conducted in order to aim, in order to find out that how a particular candidate will react when he is subjected to a stress and what is reaction. They found this out by giving them very less time or very less reaction time to react, and at that time the answers they came up with considered as the right answers. They were tested under the stress. Performance tests were conducted. Homework. Like a good teacher, I'll be giving you some homework. And like a good student, do come up with the answer of this. It is a very simple question. You can find out through Google also. So your question will be Indian Army has fought how many wars? In the next slide, I'll be telling you the answer and you have to tell me. Well, it is not a tricky question, but let's see how many of you are able to find out the right answer. Okay. Once again, coming back to the history of the SSB. On the right side, you can see 3 days redundant test, command situation, and interview. From here, you can see it is somewhere taking up the shape of 5-day SSB procedure. Well, many more to come. We'll find out. The methods of the War Officers Selection Board, known as WOSSB. It is a board which comprised of the psychiatrists, ground testing officers, and the military persons. They were intended to select the capable candidates who are capable of managing their men, relating well to others, and as well as being intelligent and physically and technically capable. What it means? It means those men who are able to lead the group with efficiency, with intelligence, and under stress, most importantly. In order to select such kind of candidates, a typical board was formed at that time. The board was formed for 3 days. It was meant to test the candidate for the 3 days continuously. The format of board is described as below, that you can read from the view file. New candidates were introduced to the board staff and they were given armbands in order to avoid the biasness. They were given written tests including questionnaires, psychological pointers, and tests of mental ability. From here, you can see it is very much taking up the shape of present day, or we can say modern day SSP procedure. Group tests were conducted and the command situations were given to the candidates. Moreover, candidates were involved in obstacle courses, discussion, and leaderless group test. It is only to find out those candidates who are able to lead the group, who were able to come up with a sharp idea even under the time of high stress. Interviews were conducted and the final conference was held, at which the board staff made decisions on the candidates that whom they have to select. All the three persons at that time, psychiatrists, military persons, and the ground officers, they sat together and find out after discussing on the candidate that whether this candidate is right or wrong. The source that I have selected is the Transformation of Selection Procedure by Hugh Murray. Well, what legacy it made, but the legacy that WSSP left behind. Downside, you can see a test, and there were four things cross linked to them. On the top, you can see mental ability. What it means? It means that whether a person or a candidate is capable of performing under the stress. It was tested by the test which was specifically carried out to test the mental ability of the candidates. Second thing, they were command situation and leaderless group tasks. They were conducted to find out the leader of the group, or else we can say those people who are capable of leading the group. Third thing, you can see questionnaire and interviews. They were primarily conducted in order to check the IQ of the candidates. An interview were conducted to find out about the candidate that whether they have written or whatever they are doing, is it right or wrong. Fourth thing, there was psychological pointers, which aimed at checking out the situation reaction test or the reactions of the candidates. We can see it on the present day SSB SRTs. They were aimed at checking out the reaction of the candidates. It is achieved by giving very less reaction time to them, and that time the questions or the answers that candidates give, it is considered as the best of the it. Well, we can see WSSB, it was a precursor to the army of the selection board in that place. In that time and in even today time also, it is responsible, or we can say the board was adopted by many countries throughout the world. And at that time, it was adopted by India and Canada also. Now moving on to the SSB centers in the India. First of all, Services Selection Center at Allahabad. It have it has 5 Army SSB boards in it. Secondly, Services Selection Center Kapurthala, the newest one for the army persons, with 2 Army SSB boards in it. Well, third one, Services Selection Center at Bhopal. It has 2 Army boards and 1 Naval SSB board. Then comes Services Selection Center at Bangalore with 2 Army boards and 1 Naval SSB. AFSB, known as Air Force Selection Board. We have total of 5 AFSB in our country in Dehradun, Varanasi, Mysore, Gandhinagar, and newest one at Kancharpara. On the top right corner, you can see yes, one day you will be at the place where you always wanted to be. And believe me, keep working hard, believe in yourself, and yes, you will be at the place where you always wanted to be. One more doubt I want to clear at this point of time, that most of the people they have this, you can say, dilemma that if they will go to Allahabad board or some other board, they will not be selected. Well, friend, it is not like that. All the officers who are testing you, they're coming from the same place. They are a fraternity of the same individuals who have been trained in the equal skills. All of them are testing you for the same OLQs, officer like qualities, that I'll be telling you later on. So it is not like that if you'll go to some particular board you'll be selected, and if you'll go to some particular board you'll not be selected. If you have the qualities in you, you'll be selected. Doesn't matter wherever board you will go. Downside, you can see I have placed some photographs of the boards: Bhopal, Allahabad, Bangalore. You can correlate with yourself if you have ever gone there. Okay, now let's come on to the SSB interview. What is this SSB interview? What it is aimed at? It comprises of the most important part. It's a three-pronged selection system. What it means? It means you have been tested by the three officers at the same time. How? Well, whenever some situation reaction tests are given to you on the piece of paper, you will be tested by the psychologist. When you go for your interview, personal interview, you will be tested by the interviewing officer known as your IO. When you're performing task on the ground, you will be tested by the GTO. So when it comes to the conference, all of these people, and even prior to that, all of people will sit together and they will finalize that whether you are in or out. Confirmation from each one of them is very important for selecting a candidate. It is not like that if one officer has selected you and two others have rejected you, definitely you will be out. Let's take the another case. Let's suppose IO and GTO have recommended you and psychologist he hasn't recommended you. In that case, again, you will not be selected. So it is very important for you to understand how this system works and how you can sharp yourself, how you can work hard on your OLQs, how you can be selected for the SSB examination. When later on slides, I'll be telling you individually about the psychologist, interviewing officer, and ground testing officer, what these people are looking into you, and how you can sharpen your qualities. Well, friends, listen to me very carefully. If you have specific qualities in you, you will be selected. If you don't have that qualities, try to embark those into you. If you'll say that just by seeing this video and you're not going to work on hard on you, you'll not be going to be recommended. I'll be telling you the ways in which you can embark these qualities into you, how you can shop yourself. This comes to be a most important question, the guidance itself. In the later on videos, I'll be telling you how you can do that. Well, on the downside, you can see to be continued in next video. Sorry, I'm taking if I have taken too much of your time, but believe me, keep listening what I am saying and keep working hard on your skills. You will definitely be at the place where you always wanted to be. Let's moving forward. If you have any questions, you can directly mail your questions to at joinindiaarmedforces@gmail.com, and I'll be answering your queries as maximum as possible. One more thing, if you think that you're not able to understand in English and you want to continue me for the next time in Hindi videos, you can tell me. I'll be using the both of the language. Well, friends, thanks for watching the video. I hope you have learned something. You have learned what is the history of the SSB. It is very interesting. Most of the people we directly go there and we don't know how from where SSB has come up. We simply put up, and at the end of the SSB, they will ask you for your recommendation also, whether you think it is 3-day board or a 5-day board is good. So you should know that from where this thing has come up. When they want to reduce the time frame to 3 days board, they are simply referring to the very basics of what WSSB has followed. And the next time when you go, or even for the first time when you're going for the SSB, do tell others that from where this SSB has come up. And you should know that what Indian Army is selecting, or Indian Air Force and Indian Navy, the officers that we are selecting, they are the best of the class. And those who didn't get recommended, don't get bogged down by this. You're simply not recommended because you're not lacking some qualities. You're not that much in these qualities like others are. So go to your home, sharpen on those qualities, and you will be selected. Jai Hind.